Hey, welcome to Half the Battle.
It's been a little longer than I had hoped, but it's finally time to continue our look at the Arise Serpentor Arise miniseries, so today it's time for part 2.
But first, a quick recap.
Cobra attacked the Joes, but they were defeated and the commander is blamed for it. And that's fair and all, but they really only lost because Sergeant Slaughter came in out of nowhere and personally took out an army of bats.
I'm not sure Cobra Commander deserves all the blame for that.
Anyway, he's forced to go along with Dr. Mindbender's plan to create a Supreme Cobra Emperor using DNA from history's greatest leaders. Part of that plan is hiring Zartan, who's recruiting new Dreadnoks, and the first episode ended with the new Thunder Machine going after Slaughter and his comrades.
So let's see how they get out of that jam.
Where did those vipers come from? They weren't in the previous episode, they do nothing, stand there, and then disappear. Anyway, the Sarge throws a tear gas grenade, punches a hole in a rock wall, and they escape. With their intel, they figure out Cobra is pulling a Lara Croft, and they're gonna raid some tombs. It's only a partial list, and they don't know why Cobra is doing this yet, but they mobilize to protect the grave sites anyway.
About those tombs.
The tomb of General Xanathamon Toth in Egypt.
This isn't even a real person. He's from Conan the Barbarian.
Even the crypt of Vlad Tepes, better known as Count Dracula.
It isn't clear where Vlad the Impaler was actually buried, but it wasn't in Castle Dracula.
Then there are the tombs of Sun Tzu.
And his burial site has been lost to time.
Genghis Khan,
Nope.
Montezuma.
And they may have discovered what could be his tomb, but historical records indicate he was cremated, so good luck getting DNA from ashes. See also Julius Caesar.
Alexander the Great.
No.
Ivan the Terrible.
Okay, Ivan we know.
It's not in some castle on a lake though, but in the cathedral inside the frickin' Kremlin. Look, the only accurate site is the first one we see the Joes go to, Paris, where Napoleon's tomb actually is.
It's also the site of a stereotype.
I will not, monsieur. I am the mayor of Paris. I must protect my city.
And I guess in the G.I.Joe universe, France's military doesn't exist. And so the familiar story beats of every Joe miniseries are here again, with groups of Joes going all over the world to show off toys.
Xanathamon Toth's last resting place locked up tighter than Uh-oh.
Tighter than what, Dusty? Given the way soldiers speak, I'm quite curious to hear the end of that sentence.
He's interrupted by a woman who says Cobra attacked her family. And since this is season 2, it's not automatically the Baroness. There's now always a 50-50 chance it's Sarana. And in this case, it is.
Yo, Joe!
Guys, you could have left a few people behind, to guard the tomb. There seemed to be enough of you.
No? Okay then.
So they go out there and of course they find nothing. In the meanwhile, Mindbender is being a dick to Sarana by way of tape recorder.
It is important to watch out for booby traps. The least spoiled in the Valley of the Kings.
Mindbender, you bloody dingo!
When she gets back, she should kick him in the balls.
The Joes realize they've been had and rush back as Sarana takes the General's DNA by placing an oven timer on the body that makes it disappear.
Because that's how that works.
She escapes the trap by taking her booth off and escapes the Joes by Thunder Machine and by blowing up a dam.
Any sign of survivors?
Don't see any.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're dead.
Also, you had a conquest. I'm pretty sure you could have stopped Sarana with that. It's faster than the frickin' Thunder Machine and has like missiles and stuff. Meanwhile, Cobra arrives in Paris by way of submarine. The River Seine isn't deep enough for that, but whatever.
I'm gonna have to ease up on the nitpicking or we'll be here all day.
And besides, it does lead to a pretty good battle that happens on the streets of Paris.
Not the worst thing to have ever happened to the Notre Dame.
The twins make it to Napoleon, and I did wonder how they would handle that since, unlike Mummy Boy, there's an actual corpse in there, but they get around it by just showing a part of his uniform. So, did Napoleon vanish too?
'Cause the French are gonna be pissed about that.
Let's just stop here for a bit, okay? Because I want to take a moment to appreciate this is a children's cartoon where the bad guys essentially go around body snatching for 5 episodes, and nobody batted an eye back then.
So that's 2-0 for Cobra, but they kinda have to win every time or we don't get Serpentor.
Anyway, Hawk rendezvous with Roadblock Squad in a transport plane.
Cobra's looking out for G.I. Joe.
Okay, who the hell was that?
Seriously, I have no idea who that's supposed to be. He doesn't look like a green shirt, and he's next to rock and roll, so I guess he's one of the original Joes, but none of them look like that either. At the same time, Duke's unit heads to the tomb of Ivan, accompanied by the October Guard.
Colonel Breckhoff and Diana send their warmest regards.
Her name's Dana, not Diana.
And Flint arrives where the cartoon assures us Montezuma is buried.
Damn, this episode likes to jump around locations.
Case in frickin' point, we switch to Transylvania with Beachhead and Mainframe. For like 20 seconds, then it's back to Flint. The Dreadnoks attack them and manage to corner the Joes, who are forced into the, pool of death. Hey, their words, not mine.
Aztec pool of death.
And for once, they find an interesting use for having laser guns instead of normal weapons, by using them to heat up the water. Fortunately for our heroes, there's a convenient underwater escape tunnel. Zartan finds Montezuma.
Finally, the dreaded Montezuma.
Sure, why not?
Dude's just sitting there. I think they would have turned that into a tourist attraction or something by now, but let's move on. So, they defile another corpse, and I can't believe I just said that sentence regarding a G.I. Joe cartoon, before the Joes intercept them.
The bad guys have an unique way of escaping.
Looks like no go, Joe!
Meanwhile, back in Transylvania.
Tepes wasn't a vampire, Mainframe.
You know, now that I think about it, this may be the only work of fiction featuring Vlad Tepes where he isn't a vampire. They hear a woman wailing, so go to the crypt to check it out.
This would also be a tourist attraction.
Like the real Dracula's castle, called Bran Castle actually is. Anyway, they encounter a ghost and go after it. I'd complain, but it has been established ghosts are real in this universe, so whatever. Meanwhile, back in Russia, because we can't stay in one place too frickin' long.
Frostbite, General. My hot cocoa just turned into a frozen popsicle.
Then why aren't you wearing gloves? Okay, to be fair, he is, they just miscolored them in this shot. They come under attack by bats and are getting overrun. Also, Horror Show has cloned himself and has switched sides.
That, or it's another animation error.
We go back to the Ghostbusters, where it turns out it was the Baroness who tricked them all along to gain like 10 seconds before they catch up with her again.
So what was the point of the ghost thing?
Especially since he could have just waited for her reinforcements that come in right after. They get the DNA and escape while demolishing the place, so the episode ends with Beachhead and Mainframe about to be buried under fallen rubble. The end. And that was Arise Serpentor Arise Part 2.
And it was a lot.
They're like the House of Pain because they sure jumped around a lot, didn't they? Maybe I should have used that as the title music. Still, I enjoyed the episode a lot. There was plenty of screen time for a lot of characters, and it was fun to see Cobra getting a string of wins for once. Necessary for the plot as they might have been. I don't know if this was intentional, but every single mission Cobra undertook was a success, and Cobra Commander wasn't involved with any of them. So maybe this is the cartoon's way of saying that Mindbender had a point? If that was a writing decision, it's a very subtle way to show how they don't need the Commander anymore. So yeah, good episode. I'm looking forward to more. I still don't get what was up with the whole ghost thing though.
Well, I'll see you next time, everybody. And hey, why not like, share, and subscribe if that's your thing?